My friends, you are in for a treat. Today we have a special guest, Dan Purcell, on with us, and he is going to speak to intimacy and how to bridge that libido gap and also improve your love life in ways you never imagined. So stay tuned. Hey parents, welcome to Fulfillment Therapy. Do you want to raise your kids better and have a stronger marriage? Are you up late at night researching marriage and parenting tools and self-care tips? Do you start each day hoping for deeper connections and less chaos, but it ends with family arguments and going 12 different directions again? My name's Kendra, wife, mom, therapist, and growth enthusiast. It wasn't until I discovered how to fulfill my unmet needs that I was finally able to show up as my best self as a spouse and parent. I realized that by meeting my needs, I could more fully meet the needs of my family with more energy and less resentment. In this podcast, I teach parents skills like boundary setting, prioritizing personal needs, communication, and claiming ownership. Just like my clients, you'll be shocked by the improvement in your marriage, parenting, and personal life when you focus on fulfilling your important unmet needs. Ready to prioritize yourself so you can quit mentally throat punching people? Then grab those earbuds and head outside, and let's walk and talk. Welcome back to Fulfillment Therapy. Today we have a special guest, Dan Purcell, here with us. He is the founder of Get Your Marriage On and dedicated to helping couples enhance their sex life and deepen their marital intimacy. As sex and intimacy coaches with his wife, they've created popular apps like Intimately Us and Just Between Us with over 750,000 downloads, and their podcast has over 1.2 million listens. So we're excited to have you here on the show with us, Dan. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Kendra.
If you wouldn't mind, just tell us a little bit about yourself, you and your wife, what you're doing. We would love to get to know you a little bit better.
Yes. We have been married nearly 22 years. We have 6 children. Our oldest is an adult. He's out of the home. He's living in the Kansas City area, serving as a missionary for our church. And our youngest is 7, and it alternates boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. So we have quite a fun crew back at home.
We also did that, did every other boy, girl, and it was like we planned it, and I guess you
Yeah.
did.
Yep, that's right. Takes a lot of practice, but you nail the pattern.
So tell us a little bit about Get Your Marriage On. Is that the main thing that you're doing right now?
That's the main thing. So if you would have known me in my college days or even more than 10 years ago, I would be the last person on earth, I would think, being a guest on your podcast today to talk about what I do. Because when it comes to sex and intimacy in marriage, I was so shy about it. It was such a taboo topic. I thought it was something we weren't supposed to talk about. And I'm a good boy, and only bad people are into sex or things like that. Or so I thought, right? Until 8 years ago, I had a conversation with a friend. And it had such a profound impact on me that it's really changed the way I thought about many things. A friend opened up to me and told me about his sex life with his wife. Now, a lot of guys like bros talking about sex, they're like boasting or whatever, like locker room talk, but this was nothing but. Although I've learned through what he was sharing that he and his wife have a very adventurous and exciting sex life, he wasn't saying these things to boast. It was more like, Dan, once my wife and I really figured out our sex life, we really dialed it in. Like everything in our life has just gotten better. The bond between us has become stronger. We're communicating better. We're parenting together better. Everything in life is so much better. And I never really considered sex as something that's healthy and good, actually fun and something worth pursuing, because I always thought you weren't supposed to do things like that. And I had a really hard time reconciling the spirituality aspect and the sexuality aspect together. They seemed like oil and water to me. But here I was talking to a man that's totally blended it together and just exudes all this confidence from having a great sex life with his wife. And he had something I didn't have, and I wanted that. But I was blushing the whole time through the conversation. I was so uncomfortable. I guess you could say I had morbid curiosity. It's like the, ew, gross. Wait, tell me more. So I went home that night and told my wife, never guess what kind of conversation that I had with so-and-so. And I was right. She would have never guessed. But if anything, I was interested and curious and scared, all these emotions all at once. What is our sex life like? Because we didn't talk about sex hardly ever in our own marriage. I think like most couples do. Not that we had a bad marriage. We had a great marriage, great friendship. It's just that when it came to sex, it was just something we didn't really talk about much. I asked her the really open, vulnerable question, what's it like making love with me? And we talked for 5 hours that night, deep into the night, 2 a.m., just talking about what sex is like for us. And I told him about the conversation with a friend, and what do you think about this? What do you think about that? He told me about this, and he and his wife do this, and X, Y, and Z, and we don't do that. What do you think about that? Is this okay to do? Not okay? All those questions came up, and then the next night we talked more, and the next night we talked more. For 2 weeks, this became the dominating conversation in our marriage as we're trying to figure things out. And a lot of things came out of that, more than just our sexual relationship. But it's because we're being so open, now it's like the next layer down and the next layer down. I really miss that we don't spend time together as much as we used to. And she was right. I was really distracted with work and other things and projects that I have been neglecting my marriage. So it was like this perfect storm, this perfect time. We're both really open and vulnerable and willing to really listen to each other and dive into what would make our marriage great. Fast forward a couple months, and we started working on our sexual relationship. Things have gone great. Our marriage went from good to great, like an order of a magnitude, like 10x better, just such a short period of time. And we were in love all over again, like newlyweds, but even better. And I just couldn't hold it all into myself. I wanted to share what I was learning with other people. But I'm not a public speaker. I'm not like a great author or anything. But with my computer science background, I know how to make an app. We came up with an app called Intimately Us, and we put it on the App Store. And it's a sex app, but it's not crass and it's not raunchy. And it is fun. It's full of bedroom games, plus a bunch of other information to help. All these things we were learning as we consulted with others, and just from our own experience, we packed it all into this fun app. And to our surprise, it took off. And as the app kind of took off and grew, so did my desires to help and strengthen marriages grow. And that led to one thing to another, conferences, to coaching, to retreats, to all sorts of wonderful things that we do now at Get Your Marriage On.
That is amazing. I love hearing your journey and how you just dove into something that was really impactful for you and really changed your life. And now how you are a light to other people that are struggling in their marriages, despite maybe not having initially that background, but then going and getting trained, getting additional knowledge, and just helping any way that you can. And I think that's just beautiful. So props to you for doing that.
Thank you.
There's so many things you said in there. I didn't even write notes because I was so enthralled. You said that you're not a good speaker or anything like that. I was like, wow, I think he's doing a great job. So no, I think you have many talents that maybe you shortchange yourself for. But even especially among faith communities, I've noticed with my clientele that this is like a big thing. Like it's hard to know if it's okay, if you're bad, if you're good. Can we talk about this? I'm sure you've heard of Dr. Jennifer Finlayson-Fife.
Yes.
Yeah, she was on the show not too long ago, and we had this great conversation about intimacy and how that can show up, especially in faith-led communities. And that's not my only audience, but a big part of my audience. And that is a challenge, learning how to know what is okay, what's not. If you can use toys, like just all these different things of, okay, did I cross a line? Am I now in trouble? Am I going to get reprimanded? All of these things that maybe other people don't explore or experience, that level of shame or guilt.
Yeah, definitely. I think sexual development with things like that follows stages of this adult development. And this has been well researched, and even Dr. Jennifer Finlayson-Fife talks about these stages also. Okay. And to just make things really simple, let's just break it into stage 1, 2, and 3. In a stage 1 mind frame, you're always worried about, is this right or wrong, black or white? You see the world in those terms because your primary goal is safety. Am I safe doing this, or am I not safe doing that? And that's important. Think about a child, like a 4-year-old, a 2, 3, 4-year-old. you give them black and white rules. You don't cross the street. And you stand on the sidewalk with them and you point to the black pavement and says, this is the street. You don't cross the street. You stay here on the sidewalk. They don't know why. They just know that if they go in the street, it's bad. But as an adult, we know why, because they're not looking for cars passing or other troubles or dangers that might be there. So we give them very black and white rules. And that's the way a lot of us begin with our sexual thinking. It's black and white, what's right and wrong. Toys are bad or toys are good or whatever. We have this kind of a way. And as we grow and mature as adults, we move into more stage 2, where it's less about black and white thinking, but it's more about what do others think of me? And this is not a group think. And it's actually good that we have this group think because it makes our societies function. Think about your kids and the schools they attend. Because of the culture of the school or because we have a society, the society is a self-reinforcing organization to help keep people in line. I lived in Japan for many years, and as crowded as Japan is, they have half the population of the United States and about the same square mileage as the state of Montana, but living on only 20% of the land. So it's a very densely populated people, but they have very low crime rates, very low problems like we have here in the United States, partially because their culture is so strict at keeping everyone else in line, and they're good at it. That's like an example. So in our marriages, when it comes to an intimate relationship with someone else, at the second stage, we care very much about what our spouse thinks of us, and that kind of dictates a lot of what we do. You might think, oh, toys are fine, but if your spouse thinks toys are gross and disgusting, all of a sudden you change your opinion. Oh yeah, you're right. Toys are gross and disgusting, huh? Because you want to maintain this kind of a balance. There's nothing wrong with that, except as we continue to grow and develop, we learn that there's more to it than that. There's problems that are inherent with that stage too. And that is a lot of the couples I work with in my coaching. This is where I say the biggest struggle is when it comes to sex and intimacy is when one person wants something and the other person doesn't. It might be, I want it 3 times a week and you only want it twice a month. Or it could be a sexual act. I want to experiment with more novelty, like including more fun things in their opinion. The other person's disgusted by those things. So how do you reconcile that? It's not about just sitting down and like explaining what your needs are and the other person's needs and swapping lists and doing each other's love languages and voila, you have your marriage problem solved. If it was that simple, I think we would be out of business very quick. And it's not so much about swapping lists and expressing your needs and getting better at communication, although those skills are helpful. What we really got to talk about is what do you do when things are hard in marriage? Because that's the skills and tools that we've been given to that point don't help you. And what actually you need to work on is moving towards a third stage. And this third stage requires you to grow and develop who you are as a person. And it's scary. As they say, it's like the continental divide of personal development. Have you ever sat down and written out goals for yourself? Who do you want to be?
Ninja. I do it all.
Yeah, totally. You probably have a goal poster or vision board. I don't know, right?
Uh-huh.
So the act of you, I admire that about you, Kendra. You sitting down and picturing, who do I want to be? Who's my future self? This is a stage 3 skill because it is self-definition. It's who do I want to be? So it's applying that same concept, but in the context of an intimate relationship with someone else, which requires you to balance what my spouse wants versus what I think is best. And there's a fine balance there. Being too much self-absorbed is toxic for a relationship because you're going to grow more independent, and that's not good for the relationship. But also, the opposite is also bad, where you become so emotionally enmeshed with your spouse that it's like you give up your selfhood to maintain a relationship with someone else. And that's not healthy either. So it's about this togetherness that you grow and develop together. And that's the hallmark of moving into this stage 3 as a married couple.
I love that. I love how you break it down in very simple ways, that 1, 2, and 3, but also how each one is not necessarily good or bad. It's just a stage of development, like our children. Like, it's a beautiful thing. It's a natural process as you grow and develop and you really start to understand who you are and how that also happens within your marriage and your intimacy. how can we have that sense of togetherness in that stage 3 as we come to that, and how that can be very complex. Like, I know my husband and I, back and forth, we seem to be like doing really well, one step forward, maybe 2 steps back, over and over again as we navigate the complexities of intimacy. And I talked about this, I know my guests are aware of it, but even with Jennifer Finlayson Fife, you add other dynamics like abuse. Like, I was sexually abused, and that like add so much more complexity to it too, of not having this self-betrayal. There's so many pieces to this that make it really hard to achieve that togetherness. And I'm sure you speak to that. You have your own podcast as well, right?
So Get Your Marriage On podcast, yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Just those 3 simple stages, though, that can help you understand and conceptualize that a little bit more. What about if a client of yours or a listener is saying, I don't really know how to do stage 3 very effectively? What are some tips or things that you can say to them to help them achieve better balance, that increased togetherness?
Yes. Oh, I love this question. All right. The answer isn't, we wish there was like, oh, there's 7 steps and you start with step 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not like that, because life isn't like that. But there's a few principles that I can teach in our short time we have together that I think help. Okay. The first one is I call calm the heck down. In fact, I love this phrase so much. A friend made me a sign and gifted it to me. It's calm the heck down. So I keep it here in my office. And it's not telling someone else to calm the heck down. It's telling yourself to calm the heck down. If you've ever been near a very mature person, someone you admire, there's a sense of they're very comfortable in their own skin. Like, bad things can happen, but they can have this ability to endure it because they're anchored into themselves. You probably can think of a few people that way right at the top of your head. That's this ability to internally maintain your own emotional state and calm it down. It's a skill of self-soothing. Let's say you're in a conflict with your spouse over something sexual. You want something, they don't. It's very easy to become activated to the point where we see ourselves as superior. They're the ones in the wrong. Of course, we know what's right for the marriage and they don't. Like, all of a sudden, you've broken equality in the marriage and you're setting up a hierarchy in your relationship. And we do this intuitively because that's what the families we come from, and that's what society in general does. We create division instead of connection when it comes to differences. The first step is to recognize that, oh no, this is happening. And it's not about who is right, who is wrong. It's what's good for the relationship here. And often it requires us to really calm down internally. So this is more a mindfulness technique more than anything else. It's your ability, can you take a breath? Can you let the emotions come and go and pass instead of being so held on to it? One metaphor is take a fist and make a really tight fist, and take your other hand and wrap it around that wrist. And the tighter you hold your hands, the tighter you want to hold your hands. It's like a self-reinforcing cycle. You just want to hold on to it more and more. And that's what we do in our conflicts. We become more and more entrenched because the grip on it reinforces a stronger grip. And then now you include 2 people and they're doing it to each other in this dynamic. But in this metaphor, in the moment, you can just do this with your hands. You force yourself to relax. It breaks that cycle instantly, and you feel an enormous amount of calm come over your body as you learn to relax everything too. The better you get at this skill of calming the heck down, the better you're able to regulate yourself emotionally, so the more you can use the thinking part of your brain instead of just reacting to whatever's going on in the relationship. And you can actually move towards better solutions as a couple in whatever it is. And it's going to look different couple to couple. But that's one of the steps, I think, to moving towards that stage 3.
That's beautiful. So just calm the heck down. Really focus on that grounding, that mindfulness, that letting go. It's a great thing to focus on for sure. And then I have to ask, because every couple out there that I work with and a listener, eventually we get to this topic. But what about when there is, in marriage, when there are mismatched libidos? Somebody wants it more, somebody wants it less. And I tell you, there's a big range. I have a lot of clients that are like, no, it's a non-negotiable. I need it every day. And then there's others that are like, I need it once a month. And neither of us are budging. I'm like, okay, this is going to be fun. So what do you
definitely
say to those people?
I got a story I could share about that from my own experience. My wife has given me permission to share it. So we dealt with this thick in our marriage. So I told you about the friend that shared about it. So fast forward 2 years, our marriage got better. And then it started to expose us to the next challenges in our relationship. And that was sexual frequency. I want all the time. My wife, not so much. So I always thought if only she would just develop her sexuality and just get herself together. Because of the work I was doing, I'm exposed to a lot of ideas, meeting book authors, on podcasting now. So I've got all these like great ideas. I come home so horny, right?
Thank you for being honest. I appreciate
Right,
it.
exactly. And my wife is like neck deep in homeschooling, and then she's really into nutritious cooking. So spends an enormous amount of time with thinking about food and just everything else. Sex is the last thing on her mind. And I would fault her for that. Come on, get with the program. You got to get your priorities straight. Sex is the most important thing. This is what you should be thinking about all the time. I'm exaggerating a little bit here. One of the books I had read that I absolutely loved, I had doggy-eared it, highlighted it, written in the margins, and placed it on my wife's pillow on her side of the bed. You need to read this. And weeks go by, and it's like moved to the nightstand, and the book is undisturbed. So we had a conversation, an argument, like, how come you're not reading this book? Like, because in my mind, if only she would read the book, read my notes in the margins, then she'll see the light and see how important sex is, and then we'll be on the same page, and this conflict will be gone in our marriage, and it'll just be rainbows and butterflies, and we'll be a power couple. Come on, you just work this out. And so in our argument, she's like, I can't do this. I homeschool all the time. I cook. And how in the world do you even expect me? I can't even use the bathroom without kids knocking on the door. I don't even, like, showering is a luxury. And then you expect me to sit down and read a book? Like, how in the world am I going to do this? So I said, fine. For 2 weeks, I will take over everything to do with cooking. I'll cook it the way you like. I'll do all the meal prep, shopping, clean up everything. And that will free you up about 2 hours of your day.
I hate to interrupt you. I was just wondering if you could maybe talk to my husband about this plan.
Yeah, hope he listens to this, right? Exactly. So I was going to be the star husband. I'm going to work a little bit less for these 2 weeks. In exchange, she was going to go to the bedroom, draw a warm bath, relax, read this amazingly well-written book, and hopefully she'll become more interested in understanding her sexuality better. And that was my thought. Here's the thing. I rocked it those 2 weeks. I rocked it. I did so. Another part of conflict in our marriage, this is an important detail, is oftentimes dinner would be late. 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And so by the time we're done with dinner and cleanup, it's late. And we don't have couple time anymore. I really wanted dinner done early. So guess what? Those 2 weeks, not only did I rock the meals, I had dinner done by 5:30 every night, cleanup done, so we could actually have an evening as a family, and kids could go to bed, and we would have time together. And I let her know it. I let her know I work full-time, and I can still get this done. Week into this, visiting my in-laws, and I told them, I'm such a good husband. I'm taking over meals for 2 weeks for my wife. I have this superiority approach to the way we're doing our marriage. We're doing this agreement. So in those 2 weeks when my wife is supposedly in the bedroom, supposedly reading the book, do you think she's like fawning, oh, my husband is so wonderful, he's doing this for me? Or is she bitter about it? What do you think?
I'm a wife, and I would be saying, I guess it depends. Probably more bitter, but it depends on how much you're rubbing it in, your awesomeness. If you're really humble, maybe she was just praising your name. I don't know.
Thank you. I wish she was praising my name, and she does like me, and I like her a lot. But there's just subtle undercurrent, very on the surface you don't see it, but just between us you see it. There's a little bit of this, I'm a little bit better than you, the vibe, this energy. And it is antithetical to building a passionate marriage when one person thinks they're superior than the other. You can't make love to someone that thinks they're better than you. You can't love them back. And I love Disney's Beauty and the Beast because it captures this so well. Belle cannot like the Beast as long as the Beast was trying to be domineering and tell Belle what to do. It wasn't until the Beast finally learns how to let go, which was like the biggest plot twist. Like, oh no, she's going to run away. Their last rose petal's going to fall and they're going to stay stuck in their beast forms forever, right? That was a major risk he was willing to take because he finally learned what does it really take to love someone is to treat them like an equal, not someone superior. To that couple where one person wants it every day and the other person wants it one a week. If you're going to say, okay, we'll compromise at, I don't know, twice a week or whatever, and it's not going to be a great compromise because neither person is getting what they want in the marriage, right? The person is resentfully, the lower desire spouse is resentfully accommodating the other one. And the higher desire spouse just feels like, how can I get more out of this? Once we're at 2, can we move it up to 3? So it's never going to be a great solution until couples can really calm the heck down within themselves, settle it down, and really come to really understand what is it that we both really want, build from there. And it's scary because to the higher desire spouse, it feels really risky going there because they feel like they're giving up something. It feels like they're giving up their hopes and their dreams. It feels like, what, I got to give up wanting sex every day? Like, that's a hard ask. But it's not really so much, and it may feel that way at the beginning. But what we got to understand as you move to stage 3 isn't about who prevails in the marriage. It isn't about who gets their way. It's about, can we create a relationship where we actually like being together, where we actually love being intimate, where we actually enjoy each other. And getting to that point takes an enormous amount of humility and courage for both people to move in that direction. And for the spouse, it might be, hypothetically, to really take stock of what their hang-ups are. What is it that gets in the way? Maybe I do spend too much time with projects or kids or things that distract me, and I do need to put my focus back here. And that requires a lot of humility too. Or it might be just simply acknowledging, I actually really don't like sex. And that's probably okay. And coming more to acceptance and saying, okay, some people just don't like intercourse, and that's okay. Some people just haven't discovered the joy of good sexual relationships because they haven't had a great sexual relationship before. And that might just be some acknowledgement and some development involved. But whatever the case, it will never, ever happen if you're trying to drag your spouse to your side and trying to make it happen, because you can't have a passionate relationship if one person thinks they're superior than the other.
I really appreciate that, the different things that you spoke to, and it's totally true. And honestly, those stories speak so much louder than so many other things. Your example of this superiority and how that affected your sex life, and going back to calming the heck down, treating each other as equals. But when you talked about stage 3, I was writing down some things that it reminded me of that really can take it to that next level. And that's based on some of the things you were saying in my own experience, is that's vulnerability, humility, ownership, patience, communication, and over time, letting go of those resentments. Not like a, fine, I forgive you, because you're still obviously resentful. But getting to that point when those other things are in play, like communication and patience and even compassion, that empathy, seeking to understand and walking in their shoes, like my husband did with me with abuse. We're still navigating it. And he's like, what about the first half of our marriage? You seemed like you were fine. I was like, I didn't understand. I didn't know what I didn't know at the time. And I was dissociating. I wasn't present. I was resentful. I was angry, but I just buried all of that because I thought I was supposed to show up a certain way. And so now I'm speaking up more, and it's probably confusing to you, and I get that, but now let's work through that. Let's talk through that. And that's been hard to navigate, but also makes sex so much more fun when I have a voice. It's not that he was silencing me, I was silencing myself. And I think a lot of people do that too. So we both have these stories of, man, sex can be really complicated and challenging. What do we do now? How can we take it to that next level and move hopefully to stage 3? So many wonderful tips and insights on how we can improve our marriage. Really appreciate having you on the show, Dan. That was a wonderful conversation. And any final thoughts or wisdom you want to leave with us, and also where we can find you?
Oh, thank you. I think sex should be fun, and it can be a great creative outlet. So the other half of this is, can you make it fun? Most couples do the same routine over and over, and there's nothing wrong with that. But once in a while, switch it up. Like, do something fun and bizarre. And the goal isn't orgasm. The goal is Can we just play here? I have permission to share this one too. One thing we did once years ago, and it just stands out in my mind as a memory. I don't think I've ever laughed so hard in my life. We played Minute to Win It Bedroom Edition. So we had all these like little games, and one of it is I got all my wife's bras, and then with oven mitts on your hand, we had a timer who can unclasp all the bras. Who's fastest at that? Another one, we had like a string tied to one end of a banana and the other end of the string around your waist. So the banana kind of dangles between your legs. And we had an orange, and you had to roll the orange with a dangling banana across the floor and like time that. And it was just a bunch of these silly Minute to Win It Bedroom Edition games. It was just so funny. And that's what I mean. Can you bring a sense of like life and fun? And that's reminds you to that not to take this aspect so seriously, or it has to have a certain outcome. It helps you forget about the outcome and just remember to just enjoy each other. And that's, I think, the heart of a great sexual relationship. Do you like each other? Do you enjoy each other? Are you thoroughly, completely, totally engulfed in enjoying each other?
Oh, that's wonderful. You said you have 6 kids, right?
Yes.
I just can't help but wonder, what are mom and dad doing? Why are they laughing about so much? Why are there all these noises? And starting to wonder, wait a second. I love that.
That's good. Luckily for us, our bedroom is on the first floor and the kids' bedrooms are on the second floor, and there's not a child right above the master bedroom. And a lot of house plans are that way, and now we know why.
Unfortunately, ours is not that way. Ours is over the living space, and we're the first ones to go to bed now that they're getting older. So now I'm just I guess they just know that we have a great sex life, and they can.
There's no problem with that. Absolutely. They don't know the need to know the details and whatever.
Right.
But at least they know mom and dad share a secret. And I think that's what matters a lot.
Love all those beautiful insights again. Thank you so much. And where can we find you?
The best place is my website, getyourmarriageon.com. You'll find all my links to everything else. My podcast is there. You can go to the App Store and search for Intimately Us. It's a free app, and it's a fantastic app. You'll thank me for life. It's a great app for your marriage.
Oh, I'll have to go download that now then. I'm sure my husband will also thank you. So I appreciate that.
Great.
Thank you again, and we'll have to have you back on the show again soon.
It sounds great. Thank you.
Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, chances are someone else would too. Would you take 30 seconds to share this with a friend who's looking for greater family fulfillment? And while you're sharing, tell me what you think about the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. It refuels me when I hear this podcast is helping you, no matter what your house or your hair looks like. I'll meet you back here every Monday and Thursday morning for more episodes. Until then.